There are certain moments that change your life. It might be watching a great emotional scene from a show in which you didn't have high expectations. It might be the most important moment of a long series that captivated your heart. Or maybe even the end of a franchise that managed to win the hearts of many fans for over a decade. But there's more than that. There are certain characters that can accomplish that. This is more difficult because it requires you to get attached to an idea, or rather, the representation of it. It's not that hard to do it in really long shows, as long as the writer is competent enough, but it's very different for shorter series. There's a reason to why most people will tell you that their favorite character is the protagonist of a long show, like Naruto Uzumaki or Edward Elric, compared to the people that will tell you that the best is Rintaro Kabe or, more recently, Frieren. And it's even more difficult when you talk about secondary characters, or especially the villains, because they rarely are the focus of the show. Some of them will be the focus of an individual arc, where others are the main focus of the story, but they don't appear on screen nearly as much. And it's even rarer to find great villains that break this mold. For every Carlos Rivera, and Ringo Road again, there's hundreds of secondary villains whose influence is non-existent, both for the story and for the audience. That's why I was so surprised when I was first introduced to Bondrewd of Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss is a show that has been around for a long time, and I have heard a lot of great comments about it, and I finally realized why. It's a fantastic visual experience. In a world where an entire city is built around a seemingly endless hole called the Abyss, several different groups of scavengers and treasure hunters will try to conquer this anomaly. The consequences of exploring it are big, but the rewards can and will alter the life of hundreds and thousands of humans. Every layer has its own variety of ecosystems, with sceneries that can only come out of a child's imagination. An inverted forest in which the roots are in the roof and the leaves are hanging closer to the floor, a 4-kilometer cliff with little to no holes and extremely smooth, a jungle in which the top of the trees is completely flat and can hold water in it, almost like the chalice of a giant. All of them, and even more, filled with countless species that will try to eliminate anyone that dares to go too far. Which includes Rico, a young girl that wants to see her mother, that sent her a letter from the bottom of this beautiful yet nightmarish place. She is not alone in this, however. She has multiple partners that are helping her in this one-way journey. Reg, a robot that became her friend and decided to help her in this crazy idea of going to the depths of the abyss, and Nanachi, a girl that living in the 4th layer of this war, after escaping of a series of experiments made by a horrible human that you can guess who I'm referring to. But in this mad war, with crazy environments, crazy curses, and even crazier creatures, there was one place that defied all of this, called the Garden of the Flowers of Fortitude, in which the scene that I'm referring to takes place. This is the first scene of the third movie of Made in Abyss, right after the events of the original anime. At this point, we already knew about Bondrewd. He was mentioned as one of the white whistles of the town, a group of the most elite explorers and the only individuals that are legally allowed to even reach the lowest points of the abyss. But we knew about him more than that. In the last episode of the anime, we saw what he did to Nanachi. She was a young girl which was utilized alongside several other orphans in horrible experiments, all of them led by Bondrewd. He was trying to, allegedly, investigate about the effects that the curse of the abyss would get on humans. You can make an entire video talking about the curse, but we will stick with what we're talking at the moment. So, all you need to know is that Bondrewd used orphans to quote-unquote experiment, and that was the only impression that we got from him prior to the movie. So the first scene was extremely tense, the second that we know that he is involved. Here's the thing, he wasn't even there. Everything starts in that beautiful flowery field mentioned earlier. It was a huge contrast with the rest of the abyss. Not pretty because of the insanity and the uniqueness of it, it was simply pretty. And in the middle of it, we see a human almost entirely covered by a cloak, and with a mask hiding his face. A mask very similar to the one that Bondrewd uses. An Umbra Hand, one of the loyal sidekicks of Bondrewd. As far as we knew, the Umbra Hands are as loyal as they could be. Not a single time any of them shows some remorse for their actions, nor the actions of Bondrewd, so seeing one so early felt like an ominous sign of things to come. At this point, we only knew that Bondrewd acted as a psychopath, someone that didn't care about the pain of others, greatly amplified by Nanachi, the only point of reference available so far. So knowing that one of its most loyal supporters was there felt like it was inevitable. Reg, being the most durable character due to its robot status, is the one that approaches it. He tries to be sneaky, yet that is futile, because he knows that he is there. He knows that they are there. He knew from the start, and they were the ones unprepared for this encounter. Even worse, this was a place deemed as a restricted area for certain reasons, and they knew nothing about it. In such a disadvantageous position, Reg is the one that is off guard. And at that moment, the Umbrahan gives them something. Not a warning, not a menacing message, but rather an object, the so far lost Blaze Rip. None of them expected that reaction, quite the opposite. The Blaze Rip was Riko's weapon that she lost in the anime after almost dying in the last third of the first season. It was illogical to give a weapon to them, especially one that was known for being powerful in the past. In fact, it was the only way in which Riko, a regular 12-year-old girl, could do anything against Bondrewd, something that would eventually happen. Why would he give it back? Why not keep it? Maybe even as a showcase of power, and forcing the group to try to recover it. Simple. Because Bondrewd didn't have a reason to keep it. The situation was even weirder when the Umbrahan started talking. He told them that Bondrewd was waiting for them. Not in a menacing way, although you can truly sense the danger in the implications, but rather in an informative way. When they asked if he was gonna do anything, the Umbrahan just brushed it off, stating that you have to go to him if you want to continue your adventure. Bondrewd knew that he was the bridge between the 5th and 6th layer. Bondrewd knew that they needed to pass through his watch. Bondrewd knew that Nanachi, a girl that left his horrible experiments, was coming as well. He probably even knew that a battle was inevitable, but he didn't need to rush it. When they get to finally meet him, he receives them with open arms. He gives them a room, he gives them food, he even allows his own daughter to get close to them. He was interested in Nanachi, as he stated later on, but he wasn't the one that approached her, she was the one that did it. He didn't attack them first. He just defended himself when the group decided to corner him to try to eliminate him. And granted, you can say that trying to experiment with Reg is a good way to make the argument crumble, but when you look at it from another perspective, it makes sense. Even if it is obvious that he is partially human, Reg is a relic of the Abyss, so it's logical that a scientist would try to know more about it. Throughout the movie, we can see the true colors of Bondrewd, how the myth and the reality combine to create one singular entity, much worse than the stories, yet also not nearly as helpless as a human. Going back to a flower field, we discover that the Umbrahan is there to burn the place. It was an important place for the protagonist. It's where the stories of her mother take place. It was the favorite place of her mother, and it was the only normal area in an otherwise brutal place like the Abyss. And why he did it? Because he had to. We quickly discovered that the place is infested with extremely dangerous creatures. Creatures that can and will eliminate any person that is not careful enough. Which is the reason why it's closed in the first place. Leaf-like monsters that destroy humans and turn their corpses into husks to live into. It's even more dangerous than other species of an already horrible 4th layer, and that's saying a lot. So unless someone does something about it, these creatures will turn this section into a nightmare for the explorers. So Bondrewd just destroys it. The beautiful field with pretty flowers that gives you a sense of normality in the Abyss. He is destroying it. Why? Because someone has to do it. If he doesn't do anything about it, it will take countless lives of great and important adventurers that would be deceived by its beauty. It's a sad thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. It's the only thing to do. The benefits outweigh the negatives in a logical sense. Even if it's invaluable to some, it would mean the death of more people not doing what he's doing. Logic over feelings. The concept that defines Bondrewd. People often consider that Bondrewd is a psychopath, and he is, but more in the literal sense of the word. He is completely emotionless and is willing to do anything to achieve the greater good. Sacrificing dozens of orphans is something that only an irredeemable monster would do, yet, in the grand scale of things, is the logical approach. Sacrificing dozens or even 100 children today will mean saving hundreds or even thousands tomorrow. That's what makes Bondrewd so scary. He is not doing anything out of malice, nor out of revenge, but rather because he genuinely believes that this is the right thing to do. We do not know if he actually wants to do what he's doing. It doesn't seem like he's particularly enjoying it. He does it because someone has to do it. He shows no remorse in its actions, yet he understands the action of others. He doesn't retaliate because that is not logical. He doesn't try to stop them from escaping, because why would he? He doesn't even show sadness when he's dying, because he did what he felt he had to do, and he felt that his failure was just proving that his dreams were not as big as theirs. Bondrewd is a monster, not because of the way he looks. In fact, when he stops being fully a human in the movie is when less threatening he feels. Bondrewd is a monster because his actions in such a crazy war are grounded on objectivity and logic. Bondrewd is a monster because he is too real, and he is willing to be the monster that does anything in order to make humans advance. There's other characters in the future that will be close to the monstrosity of Bondrewd, others that are willing to do everything in order to achieve the such called greater good, but none of them are as realistic as Bondrewd, and none of them, unlike Bondrewd, can see a single sin that defines them as much as Bondrewd is defined by the first scene of the third Made in Abyss movie. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want more content like this, making way more elaborated videos, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. It helps the channel to grow, and it helps you to make me realize that you actually enjoyed this type of content. And now, without anything else to explain, once again, I hope that you all enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye bye.